Hey, good morning, everybody. It is May 2nd, 2023. It is it is Tuesday, and it's about 8:15 in the morning Eastern Standard Time. And I've got my dog with me. See if I can find him over here. Harvey, you in there? Want to say hi to your fans? Huh? Want to say hi to your fans? No? Okay. But he appears warm and calm, and that's fine by me. And he's been a wonderful dog in the sense that, man, he sleeps and takes it easy. He can go 12 hours without taking a piss. My God. That's pretty amazing, I think. He's 15 years old, and it's been more than 12 hours sometimes, 13, 14 hours, where for one reason or another I can't, I don't get him out. But I figure as long as he can go 12, 13 hours without peeing, I may as well take advantage of the situation. Makes life easier for me, that's for sure. It's a weird day weather-wise. Take a look at this. Okay, I hope the sun doesn't create too much flare. There's a dark set of clouds. The wind is out of the west, so the wind is at my back going forward from where we stand, from where we are here. Let me see if I can get the window down. I think it's cool enough to hold the bugs off for a while. Isn't that amazing? I mean, if you can see the grass, that is amazing. Cows would love this place. And sheep, I think they eat grass. But these shoots look to be like, I don't know, maybe 16, 20 inches long. And they'll come out here with a John Deere, and this is 100 acres, as I've said many times. They come out here. It takes them one day to clear this, to cut all the grass here. Then it gets bundled up by another machine and taken off. And the whole process, back in the day, let's say, go back 100 years ago, I think farming was becoming mechanized. At this time, maybe not. I don't know. Could have been a while before the tractors you need to mechanize a farm became available. Specialized machinery. Now they have, I know for wheat, they have machines that cut it, bundle it, and transfer it to, a truck to haul away for, processing. They have one very large wheels. I don't know what they call them, thrashers? What do they call them? Harvesters? They harvest the wheat, but they don't only cut it. They collect it, the machine bundles it, and then spits it onto a truck bed. You go back 100 years, I guarantee you we didn't have that capability. And the improvement on processing food would improve dramatically. It would be dramatic and impressive. So you probably have 100 acres. Let's say you have 100 acres. It's yielding 100 acres, 500, between 500 and 1,000 bundles, something like that. Well, you can do that in one day, as opposed to over 100 years ago, like 1923, it'd probably take you 2 weeks, probably, maybe 3. So what I'm saying is there's more food available now, which has resulted in an explosion of the human population all over the world. We're at 8 billion people. It's hilarious. That's not hilarious. I don't know. What is it? Absurd? 8 billion people. Well, my family group hasn't increased that number, even though I had 3 kids. Only one of them is having children. The other 2 aren't going to have children. So that's kind of a break-even thing, pretty much. Harvey agrees. So, a very, excuse me, a very dubious day for flying. You better know exactly what's going on weather-wise today, because there's a patch of dark clouds directly east from here, but the wind is blowing from west to east, so they're probably not coming this way. But to the west, all I see is overcast sky. Definite ceiling. Ceiling's a little higher. I say 6,000 feet maybe. And there's breaks in the ceiling. The sun's coming through. You see it hitting my face right there. The visor. I did a video on the stupid visors on cars. They're so bad. They've put no imagination, no innovation into visors, keeping harsh light out of the driver's face. Gee, you think that might be important? Yeah, I think so. Anyway, so yeah, it would be. I would fly today. I could do you can do pattern work on a day like today, because you can see the weather all around you and what's closing in on you. Not moving too quick. It's not, the weather system's not moving very fast, because that dark patch of clouds to the east isn't going anywhere. And if there's no convective activity, then it's okay for flying. IFR. VFR, you got to have the visibility. But it's a steady wind out of the west. I don't know if you can see the grass blades bouncing around. Excuse me. But it's a large, steady wind out of the west. I'd say 8 to 10 knots, gusting to 15, something like that. So I have gotten in, quite by chance, I've gotten into following the Murdaugh murder trials. Yeah, that name, Murdaugh. When I first saw it, I'm looking at it, I said, who do I know? I remember somebody that I liked in sports history with a name very close to that, but I can't remember. And then it hit me, Danny Murdaugh. So the only difference in his spelling of his last name and the infamous Alec Murdaugh is the D, where the D is in Murdaugh, you substitute a T. So instead of Murdaugh, it's Murdaugh. And Danny Murdaugh was the coach of the Pirates in 1971, and I'll tell you what, that was the best job of coaching, one of the best I've ever seen in the World Series. They beat the Orioles in 7 games. And Roberto Clemente. Yeah. And he was like 38 years old. He looked like a young man. He looked like a 20-year-old playing out there. He was in such good shape. And could that guy throw from right field? Okay, so typically your strongest arm is in right field because of that throw to third base. Center and left field. Center fielder needs a good arm. Left fielder, you want him to be able to have a decent arm. Anyway, Roberto Clemente and the Pirates and Danny Murdaugh. I just remember him keeping everybody on the team calm. Don't get too emotional if things go bad. Don't get too emotional if things go good. That guy was cool. Cool under pressure. Excuse me, I don't have a napkin. You know, they were all over. Napkins were all over the place a little while ago. Now I can't find one. Par for the course. Here we go. Oh, all right. Anyway, Danny Murtaugh. So Alec Murdaugh. Uh, is one of these people that have a genetic issue, I would say. He's really a creepy looking dude. Like Robert Lansing. Remember that actor, Robert Lansing? He was captivating to look at because his eyes were so sunken deep into his head. And that's Alec Murdaugh has that same effect. His eyes are kind of recessed into his head, and his eyebrows kind of like jut out over his eyes. And it gives him this kind of a creepy look. Some people interpret it as intimidating, threatening. I can't believe what this guy did. And the tragedy, the string of tragedies on affecting this family is bizarre, because I haven't seen anything like this since the Kennedys in the 50s and the 60s. And even going forward from there, the tragedy of deaths in the Kennedy family, really horrible. But this is on that level. And I would say the coverage, the reason there were cameras and audio, which really they should have for all court cases in our country, they should all be open to the public. So we understand better what happens, you know? It's an important thing to know about, to understand the law in our court systems. You get an education if you go on YouTube and you watch the highlights from that trial. It was a real good learning experience for me. And this is unique because the guy that's accused of murder is one of the most prominent attorneys in the state of South Carolina, and from a family that's been involved in the law in South Carolina for over 100 years. Money? This guy had money. It was never enough, though, apparently. And he started stealing fees and money from his company and from clients. Stupid. This guy is a millionaire several times over. He's got land, and I think he sold it, but he had land that was worth like close to $5 million. Think about that. But that's not enough money for this guy. So he started stealing from his company. This guy is a partner in this law firm. A partner. And he starts stealing from the firm. I think there were 4 or 5 other partners. He starts stealing, and not stealing a little, stealing a lot. That would add up to millions. And the guy's obviously brilliant. He claims to have an opioid addiction for 20 years. I don't believe that for a second. I mean, I've been around addicts, alcoholics, addicts. They could not do what he did while they're actively using those drugs. You can't go into a legal case, be a trial attorney and be an addict on opioids. Maybe there's a way to do it, but I don't think so. It always crashes on an addict or an alcoholic. My ex-wife, an alcoholic, she got sent home from work and she was drunk on the job. And she thought that they wouldn't know. That's, for an addict. I'm just speaking about alcoholism now. But it's the same. If you're hooked on narcotics, you can't hide that. It's impossible. He's married, he's got kids, they're around him all the time. He couldn't hide it, I guarantee you that. My ex-wife thought she could hide, the fact that she hid alcohol in the box spring of our bed. You know what a box spring is? She cut a hole in the box spring and put her booze in the box spring. Okay. That's an addict. That's somebody that's hooked on alcohol. There were other drugs on the menu, but alcohol's legal. It's the easiest to get. So this guy, Alec Murdaugh, he says, well, it was my addiction to opioids that made me steal money. Okay. And it was all coming crashing down in 2021. It was a horrible year for me, too. That was a crash and burn year for me, socially speaking. Anyway, so he's very prominent and a citizen, member of his community, and prestigious, a very fantastic reputation. Everybody loved this guy. There was a big love fest down in South Carolina. Like Bernie Madoff was having a love fest. Anyway, the people this guy hurt. So, where does the murder come in? All right, and frankly, there's a string of deaths that are really horrendous. So, go back 2 years from there, 2019, and the youngest son, Paul, he was 19 years old at that time. Somehow, got his hands on alcohol, and some say that his older brother helped him with that. But I don't know that there's anything conclusive there. He got some alcohol and some friends and went out on a boat and crashed the boat into a bridge and killed this young girl, Mallory Beach. She's dead because this spoiled, rotten kid wanted to get some alcohol and impress people at like how he could drive a boat into a bridge. Sound ridiculous? Yeah, it is. So there was a lawsuit that was prompted by that. And then this guy, Alec Murdaugh, and that's his son, Paul, tries to intimidate an attorney that represents the clients in, a civil suit against Alec, the Father, the Son, and not the Holy Ghost, the Father, the Son, and the estate. They had a lot of money. Although this guy started telling this trial attorney that he's broke. The guy, and he did it in an intimidating way, too. So, and trying to intimidate another attorney in a case that you're involved in is really stupid. You can get disbarred for that. Okay, you can if you can prove it. But this is a quiet, private conversation at some kind of lawyer conference at Hilton Head. So the pressure, the guy that he was trying to intimidate, you can't intimidate this guy. He's got too much experience, too much of a successful track record. And so he knew right away that there was something corrupt or something wrong. And so he ramped up the pressure against the Murdaugh family as a result of this boat accident and this girl dying. And the pressure wasn't going to go away. And so, he kind of stuck his finger in the face of the attorney representing the plaintiff there, and that was a bad move. That was really stupid. Really stupid, because it's just going to make things worse. So anyway, that's 2019. So now it's 2021, and all the money he's been stealing over the previous 10 years starts to surface. The issues start to surface. The money's gone, but the money he stole and the issues surrounding that started to surface in a bad way. And he knew it was going to come crashing down. He knew it. So to take attention away from his embezzlement, he murders his wife and youngest son to try to create like a different story that would take the attention away from his thieving. Is that stupid or what? I mean, not just stupid, but I think in his mind he's thinking, nobody could possibly believe that I would murder these two people, so that's what I'll do. and then that'll buy me some more time until I can dig myself out of this hole. Can you imagine murdering your youngest son, any of your children? And he's like in his late 50s, early 60s, I believe. Yeah, that's his age. I'm sure of that. Anyway, the trial, man. These trial attorneys, they know what they're doing, and they know they have a strategy and they follow that. So the prosecution is pretty straightforward. I'm going to prove this guy killed his wife and his son, murdered them, and then the defense would just be showing that this guy, that they hate this guy. This guy is hated, and he is now. He is hated now, but at the time, he was still an upstanding, very well-respected member of the community. But now everybody hates him, and that hatred is a catalyst for all this, for him being accused of murder, is what the defense is saying. But there was so much circumstantial evidence, and a video by the murdered son just before he got murdered didn't show a visual of his father being where he was, but you could hear his father's voice, and numerous people said, yeah, that's his father's voice. And then right after that video ended, his father shot and killed him. Brutally, really brutal. Shot him in the chest, but the guy, I guess his son was still wiggling around or something, so then he shot him in the head. That guy should hang, in my opinion. If he did this in Singapore, he would. I guarantee you that. They don't screw around in Singapore. What'd you do? Kill your wife and son? Okay. Have a cigarette. That's gonna be your last. There's the gallows over there. Get moving. Singapore is kind of draconian, though. I mean, caning a guy because he spit on the sidewalk. That's a little bit over the top, but they don't have any trouble with people spitting in Singapore. It's a disgusting thing to do, and I've caught myself doing it. There's really no good reason for it. All you need is a Kleenex to spit into. I mean, Oh, and don't litter in Singapore either. So anyway, I'm interested because of all the different facets and the people that this guy hurt. Man, there is a lot of pain up on the witness stand. One guy in particular, Chris Wilson, James Christopher Wilson, an attorney. Where is he? Attorney in Columbia, I think. It's not too far from where these guys are. It's that area of South Carolina. So this guy takes the stand, and he had worked on a case with this guy, Alec Murdaugh. And it was that year, too. Actually, it was the year before. It was 2020. There was a liability case involved, a product liability case that involved a Mack truck that lost a drive shaft on the highway. And those drive shafts, I don't know if you've ever seen one or held one, but I have, and they're strong, extremely strong steel and heavy. Those things are made not to break, and this thing broke away, and it's bouncing around the highway, and it really seriously hurt some people. So it was product liability against Mack truck, and it was resolved from there was not going to be a big contentious debate or trial, and it was settled for like $2 million or something like that. And this guy Chris Wilson had brought Alec Murdaugh into this case because he needed help. Case is resolved. Alec Murdaugh gets this worked out. So Chris Wilson is holding money. Oh, right. Okay. For the plaintiff. The plaintiff got, we'll just say, $792,000, and that was Alec Murdaugh's cut on the settlement. But the check was sent to Chris Wilson, attorney at law, and he worked with Alec Murdaugh on this case. So Chris Wilson had the money. I had to watch this 2 or 3 times to understand exactly what happened. So Chris Wilson has his money, and he has Alex Murdaugh's money, or his firm's money. All that money is supposed to go to the firm, not to Alec Murdaugh directly. So Alec Murdaugh calls Chris Wilson. He says, hey, send it to me. Make the check out to me. I'm going to set up annuities with this money. Okay? And to do that, you got to write the check out to me. So this guy writes a check for $792,000 and sends it to this crook, to this thief, the crook. That's a lot of scratch, man, to be writing it. Like, if I'm writing a check like that, there'd be an alarm going off in my head, you know, like, wait a minute. How can this be right? Because they never. Sometimes you'll set up an annuity with, and this was fee money, though. This wasn't money for the client. This is fee money for the firm that Alec Murdaugh worked for, and cost and expense money too. It wasn't going to the client, and it's like 800 grand. So he gets this 800 grand, and of course he tucks it away in a personal private account and steals it. The shit hits the fan, and Alec Murdaugh somehow gets, you know, after that money is gone, he gets his hands on $600,000, I think, from his father's estate. And this Chris Wilson's talking to him. He says, I need that money back because your firm is saying they don't have it. And Murdaugh gives him a song and dance, and so he sends him $600,000, but he can't come up with the other $192,000. It's supposed to be $790. He can't come up with it. And it gets hotter and hotter and hotter, until finally, you know, and people couldn't believe that they couldn't trust this guy. Isn't that something? You know? You don't see the wolf in the sheep's clothing. It's very difficult to do that. And, you know, your trust is betrayed. The trust anybody had in this guy was betrayed so bad that, you know, this guy, Chris Wilson, was struggling to keep his composure while he's testifying. Chris Wilson, his name is actually James Chris Wilson, but you go to YouTube and you do a search for, you know, attorney Chris Wilson testimony, Murdaugh, murder trial, something like that, and it'll take you right to it. It's about an hour, which, you know, I didn't think I would last through that either, but man, this guy is struggling with his emotions. You know, attorneys got to be careful about displaying emotions, really careful, because that can make a difference in what they're trying to do and the perception of who you are. And when you're on the stand and, you know, you got the whole country looking at you, and you know you're starting to cry on the stand, I don't think it's bad. I mean, the professionalism of this guy really came through, and the fact that he's a human being and he showed some humanity and some, you know, basic emotions of somebody, of the level of betrayal that he endured. It's incredible. I mean, he knew this guy since high school. He's known him since the 80s, over 40 years. And they've worked together. They're not in the same firm, but, you know, they're best friends. They're best friends. Anyway, check it out, guys. I'd be interested if there are any pilots that are flying in southeastern Pennsylvania and see this. I would love to see your comments. I hope you guys have a great day. Don't let the status of the world get you down. It's guys. Guys are the problem in this. I mean, it's taken me a while to wake up to that, but there's no question that that's the truth. Guys are the problem when it comes to violent crime. If you don't believe me, check out the ratio in the prison population of violent criminals of men compared to the number of women. Get a good read on that, and then come back and tell me I'm a sexist. You know, I'd like you to do that. All right, peace, y'all. Have a great day.